So, although it is not my class, but just I have come today to give you some descriptions. Although you know, some people do not know that editorial discussion class, which we say as ED class. So it is not just merely about ED discussion. It is about 1 week of whatever the developments happen. We try to identify some important topics and it is prepared very meticulously, comprehensively. Then it is discussed. Many a time people, those who are doing ED, they and other people, so they are not aware about the benefits that we want to give through ED discussion. Especially let's say that these questions. So ED is not a new program. We have been running it since 2015-16 and every week we give a list of questions. In every ED at least there would be 10 questions, I guess. So even if you have 5 EDs, it can become 50 questions. And by 1 year you can say that you have a list of 500 questions. Do we take into consideration those questions? Do we compile those questions? Try to understand those questions. That aspect. Every week there are 4 questions that we give and one has to write answers on that. Whether people adhere to that, follow that. Now, since ED topics already they have been taught and then questions are given, so when a person writes answers on that, then it is evaluated that how better you answer once you know a topic. This, and then you can benefit, you can learn from that. It is more planned and organized. Nowadays, let's say current developments are happening, current events are happening. They are in a state of flux. State of flux, they are still in a running position. A topic is in running position. And when it is in running position, so unless that topic gets settled, you should not write answer on that. Because once it gets settled, then you come to know and you can read that topic. That is how you benefit in ED. The topics which are prepared, so we try to wait for the topics to get settled. Once it is settled, so we can have more comprehensive discussion. And then let's say a person who is going to write the questions, so he has a settled knowledge. This, and by end of year, let's say that you can have, although topics are not mentioned, but I will tell that it can have over 250 topics. In that 250 topics, we can say that 200 topics would be very relevant topics. So in 1 year, a person is going to get 200 topics. And it is very relevant from different sections if you eliminate overlappings, which can cover all the 4 papers, since we take care of all the 4 papers, be it 1, 2, 3, 4. And then let's say accordingly a person has also practiced across the topics. And already you write other tests for your GS etc. But already you have also here practice across the topics. Every week you are also having this practice session. Plus let's say list of questions. At the same time, let's say that these questions, list of current affairs questions which are uploaded on portal. This, so this by the end of let's say your session, you can find 100 per month, so then this will become and that is how it benefits, means questions. The questions are uploaded on portal, but many a time people may not be aware. As of now, we have not uploaded since it has just started. This, yes, for today's session, so you can see in description list, we have uploaded some of the materials today to show it, and then how to benefit from this. Today for current affairs, you will find that it is a state of flux. There are so many current developments. There are so many platforms also for current developments. Then many a time we think that why a person should nowadays, let's say, join a class for current developments. Since there are so many platforms, so many, let's say that current developments, find classes. So why a person should join a class for that? So it is basically that it is organized, it is structured. If means it somehow it takes the commitment that in 1 year we will cover you all the important topics. And we are also concerned that if a question is asked in UPSC and if we have not covered that topic, so we regret also. So this is a commitment, let's say commitment in the sense that you are going to get those topics which are, let's say, relevant and organized, structured. First, commitment. Next is called, let's say, UPSC pattern. So what is UPSC? Today you can have any such current affairs platform and lots of people, let's say, can be found teaching current affairs. But is it of UPSC standard? So that is what we have to understand. That is what we need to tell. So from that perspective, let's say, I will tell two things. Although we are not here to give any critic to any such channel or anything, but I will tell that nowadays current affairs are taught through PPT files, and then that current affairs gives equal emphasis on all the aspects of the topic. But a topic may demand, you know that, a topic may demand like this way, a topic may demand like this way. This approach means it has its own, let's say that, tides, let's say you will find that. Or a topic may not necessarily be discussed uniformly. All the aspects of the topic we cannot discuss in uniform fashion, because that topic has emphasis on something else. Like since today you have one topic related to abortion and other, let's say that aspects related to society related topics. So society related topics are taught. So this Abhijit takes society related topics, he will join. Now if you take abortion, so how, let's say, what is the main aspect of abortion? This. The topic should go either like this, or it is, what is the main aspect? Why Supreme Court has told that abortion should also be allowed for those who are not married? That is the main aspect. So whether you know the background of the case, what the Supreme Court has told, and then what is its effects, other aspects, but the main aspect is that why there should be abortion rights to those who are not married. So simple thing is, it is called equality. Right to equality. This. It is, let's say that woman is also equal to a woman who is married. You cannot differentiate women on the ground that one is not married, another is married. This is the main aspect of the judgment. Law is discriminatory and we have to eliminate that discrimination. Second aspect of the judgment is called proactiveness. We should be proactive for social reform and we should have positive mindset towards social reform. That is called progressive mind. What is progressive mind? So progressive mind is that, we should allow that extra, means premarital, let's say that. It's not that marriage should also only become basis for a relationship between two individuals. Right. That can happen even before marriage, and it is there, let's say that level of independence and freedom. So that progressiveness has been brought. The third aspect is that in our country we do not have debate on safe abortion, because abortion is considered something as social taboos, or it is considered inhibitory practice. This, but there should be safe abortion. Means here we are risking a life of a person just because of a social stigma, which is traditional thinking. So these are, let's say, three things you can tell. It's progressive mind. change, social change and eliminating discrimination. We cannot discriminate two women on the ground that one is married and other is not married. That is the main aspect. Now, when you teach, you have to focus on that. When you write answer, you have to focus on those three things. But in answers also, what people will do? People will try to give equal emphasis. And when you give equal emphasis, so your answer either may not go in this way or it will not go in this way. It will not show a kind of flow in the answer. Rather, uniform focus on each and every point. Many a time you may write such points towards end, not in the beginning. Means answer may not be effective. So this is what we'll tell, that teachings, current affairs, today even we also feel that there are so many, let's say, way to get current affairs. But the question is whether you are getting right knowledge. Right. Whether there is a commitment that you will get the number of topics in 1 year which are going to be relevant for UPSC. This. And then third aspect is called the framework that you get for any such topic. So this is how we can find that it is different or we can distinguish. I will give another example for how it is different. Another example is, we told that whether you are getting UPSC oriented knowledge. So I found, let's say, at one channel about, let's say, hijab debate and this teaching related to core and non-core aspect of religion. Then the person is saying that the Constitution of India does not allow non-core aspect of religion as religious freedom. It only provides core aspect of religion as religious freedom. But it is wrong. The Constitution of India does not talk at all core and non-core. Right. This was told by Supreme Court in 1956 in one such judgment. Right. It is a judicial interpretation, core and non-core. But I found that the person is having lots of emphasis. It is one of the biggest platform on social media. Then the candidates, let's say that the candidates may not know this, and they may not have that level of wisdom to interpret the Constitution, read and understand yes, core and non-core debate. Although we are not supposed to be a critic, but just what we want to say that it's about commitment, it's about UPSC pattern that you are getting UPSC oriented discussion and current developments, and plus, let's say, a list of topics that you get, list of questions you get. You are supposed to write those questions, answer. You may have other commitments, but if you are writing every week 4 questions, so you can count that how your practice in a year can be, in 6 months can be, and then you will improve on that front also. Then the variety of questions you get, you can see how the questions when they ask, and those several questions can be directly from the topics which have been discussed, and that is how, let's say, that it can benefit. Then another thing that people are less aware, or although we do not force, let's say, force people to follow it, but let's see what we have done. That suppose a person wants to depend on one such platform for current developments, be it prelims and mains and interview. So then what a person should do? So you can also see that we have daily current affairs and this current, this daily Hindu analysis and this express analysis. When there was no COVID, so there used to be offline things, and the materials were also given in offline mode. So people used to know. Nowadays, since materials are uploaded off online portal, descriptions, YouTube videos, so people may not know. But at least once you should see that whether it is helpful, because many a time, let's say that yes, it is also time consuming, no doubt. There will always be a dilemma that when a person watches any such analysis, so then he will watch analysis, then he will read it also. It will take more time. So does it save? But it's not about taking more time, it is also about understanding the essence of that day newspaper, whether it has anything relevant. So that helps in, let's say, basically preparation, or at least knowledge, let's say, that whatever is given in that daily Hindu or etc., and it has become also a trend nowadays. So you can follow, you may not follow, that's different thing, but daily current affairs also we prepare. It is also done, it is largely for prelims perspective. And this will be also, let's say, not, it is combined, let's say, prelims and mains perspective both. So ED class is more about mains perspective, but daily current affairs plus they also give 2-3 questions related to prelims. So that way it becomes almost a daily exercise, and that way we will say that if you depend on daily current affairs and this one analysis, ED class, so it can help you in covering both prelims and mains orientation. And we will tell that you can rely on that, because we ourselves have the concern that we should not let any such topic that is missed, or we should try to cover all the relevant topics. This, and it is also a sort of risk, because a student is not going to trust you, rely you if something is missed on that, because a student is not going to take any such risk about prelims and mains. So that is what we will tell, that you should try to take benefit from this. And yes, there was a time that I used to take most of the classes, but yes, nowadays we have, let's see, a team, they are taking classes, and we have divided those sections. Sections basically, let's say Abhijit will largely be taking. So Abhijit will be largely taking that society related topics, and Laxmikant takes most of the, let's say, classes related to be it, let's say, ecology, environment, economy, even IR. And Raghu takes polity, it's international relation related topics. That is how the section that we have divided. That is how, let's say, we can add later on some other people in this team, because you want to be also specialized. Means it should be more specialized, and people should be specialized in their area, which can benefit you. This is what we can convey. So we'll finish here. I will end my session, right? And so Abhijit will come. Anything that you want to ask?
In the complete ED session, you can take at least one class on governance, because governance per se is not covered in the current affairs.
Yes, it is not.
Polity is covered, but some happenings in the governance which happen in the background. Full of government approach, collaborative governance, these things, they don't come to the front, but exam we see direct something question like that.
Yes, yes. Questions, if you see polity analysis, so we have told that how questions are conventional, contemporary, last 10 years current, only 2 questions are from 1 year current. This. So let's say I2, U2, 1 question, and then you can say BIMSTEC and SAR. You can say 1 year, although it is not also 1 year, but largely you can take from 1 year development. Otherwise, all other, let's say, Right to Education Act, other, so they are from last 10 years current affairs. So yes, it is true that questions are not asked only from 1 year current affairs. Hence, let's say, but our motive is also, while covering 1 year current affairs, to cover, let's say, past conventional also. This. And in 1 year, they do have development related to governance, etc. Yes, so we can plan in that way, because COVID and other challenges resulted into somehow time constraint for me especially, so reduce, but yes, we can think of this aspect.
So because governance topics I feel are mostly missing in ED. Core governance.
Yes, because they are not linked to current developments.
Yes, so
Right.
that section is created.
Yes, yes.
Sir, and can there be a program from LUKMAAN where there is specially PYQ discussion of the ethics? Only the PYQ discussion, not the test series or some other 180 plus case studies program. Especially PYQs, because I feel many of the standard models of UPSC are repeated. If we we have one standard answer or wholesome approach to that situation. There are 10 to 12 situations of the UPSC ethics case studies, but there is no standard answer exactly or the approach to that.
Yes, we can plan. We do not have as such as of now.
Yes, sir, we need
Right.
something like that.
Already 2 years we have. Right. This year already it is done.
Yeah, this year is the
And
last
but again in that case, since it results into lots of time, so I did not go into details of case studies. I just went. I told one case study in details proper. So that way. So then we have discussion of 2019, I guess. In between 2021 we did not have. So we can think of it.
because there is
We,
some poll that is getting repeated every year. And
yes.
that poll is especially missing because we don't find that answer in the many of the discussions. Superficially something is discussed, but
Yes, yes.
the current affairs like some BSP was murdered in the stone quarry.
Yeah, but
That we are able to take.
that type of questions have been asked. Like, even we have asked Haryana wala question.
Yeah, that we are able to carry
Yes.
out. But some hardcore, the minister and the bureaucrat nexus for buying land or some other mafia is happening.
Yes, we can plan. As of now, we do not have plan. It is all about time. Let's say that time constraint.
And regarding other subjects, you can also start for society and history, sir. The previous year question discussion.
No, if we'll start for every subject.
At least the less
Yes.
time consuming, so it will be done quickly.
Yes. Okay, right.
Second class we shifted to some like other timing because I take like 1 hour to 1.5 hour to reach home and sometimes class continues till 9 or 9:30. It's too late.
You can think of it 4 o'clock.
Yes, at least for
Yes.
Sir, I would like to ask model answers for case studies of this 2022 paper, sir. It would be beneficial if you provide model answers.
Yes,
of
we will provide. We will provide. It will take a bit time. This is what we can say. Time in the sense that, you see, if you want quality, it takes time. This takes time means ki the people, those who prepare it, so they have lots of work. Right. So we have already discussion and it will be given, this you can say. So we will give it. We gave in 2019, I guess 2021 we have not given, 21 also we have given. We will give model answer for that.
Thank you, sir.
Right. Okay, right? Okay, right.
कर दिया, ऑन कर दिया, ऑन है, ऑन है। गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन। तो सर ने आपको थोड़ा तो बता दिया होगा, आई बिलीव you must have got the clarity about abortion, a bit legal aspect, I guess. So we will start with the societal part. That's why first of all such law was needed, and initially what was the reason because of which MTP was enacted, and this is our first topic, abortion and marital rape. Yes, Supreme Court judgment on marital rape and abortion, and subsequently because there is SDI report and the data is important, that will be second topic. Social contract, because half the time I know I ask what is social contract, apart from the student of the political science, most of the people get confused ki what is social contract. So in that context, what is new social contract and how it is different from the old social contract, we will be discussing it subsequently. Why the quality of legal and service should be, legal aid services should be improved. If you people are following the newspaper, then you must have seen that there was a case of UP of 2008 in which a person was on capital punishment. Subsequently, he got the remission on the basis of bad legal aid he got from the state. So what are the problems and what are the aspects of it? Now, India needs a holistic and effective technoplomacy. So you see that technology is changing in its discourse completely, and the nation and international relation discourse. So in that case, the inequality of technology is changing the foreign relation in such a way that science of diplomacy, diplomacy of science, and science within the diplomacy, changing the national and international relation, particularly after post-globalization. Isn't it? In fact, technology is the most common denominator based on which the foreign policy is changing. If I say this statement is right or wrong? Technology is changing the foreign relations since its very inception. May probably say, for example, since the rise of the nation state. If I say this statement, and India is a very active participant in this changing discourse about the technology. Somehow India's foreign policy was guided by technology from the very beginning. Is it right or wrong? If it is right, then in what way it is right? If it is wrong, then in what way it is wrong? So these will be the point of discussion. Now PM Sri new scheme, basically harping on the same aspects, education, schooling, model schooling. We will cover it subsequently. And India must recognize new family structure legally. So you see that there are so many cases which haven't found the mention in this particular article. Yet this case has been ongoing from since a very long time. Like in 2008, there was a woman from Bombay who was denied the passport for her son because she was a single mother. Similarly, there are many notions of household in which they are not given the benefits. So you see that probably their wife is staying at some place else, husband is staying at some place else. We do have one nation, one ration card policy, but yet it is not implemented in its spirit. So what are the changes because of which a new family structure, even by the government official, is not recognized? Largely, this article will focus on LGBTQ families and their family structure, and how the state is not identifying because of the stereotyping that is prevalent in the society. So these are the 7 topics which we are going to discuss subsequently. Now, starting with the first topic, the 51-year restrictions on the abortion rate of women was upheld, that single woman can get equal abortion rate. So you see that we have to see this thing. in a bit more holistic way and it more prevalent way, that is what is ongoing in the society and around the world. So you see that nearly 3,31,000 unwanted pregnancy occurs daily. 3,31,000, which is roughly around 267 million unwanted pregnancy around the world. And now in these data, India accounts for 1 in 7. Means every one case in the total 7 cases is from India. Roughly 45% is the India's contribution in unwanted pregnancy. Now, of all these cases, nearly 60% goes to the doctors, and in such cases what happens that generally these doctors are fake, quick and not recognized by the law. So the other data is that this increases the burden on public health care. Every now and then you will read in the newspaper that due to unwanted pregnancy somebody admitted in hospital and died. So, and why this is happening? Because law is not keeping in consonance with the changing realities of the time. 1. 2. That law is still suffering from the Victorian morality notion. That autonomy and agency is not given to the woman. Rather, it is the family who decides the nature and discourse around the pregnancy. So first we will look into the case, that what was the case. The court said that 25-year single old woman requested to end pregnancy before 24 weeks was denied by Delhi High Court. Now what is 24 week is what? It's guided by? 6 months. No, not 6 months. What law dictates us that the week should be 24? What are the condition for abortion in India, first of all? Yes, and the intention. See, it is 12 weeks, first trimesters. In first trimesters, one can go for the abortion. And there is very valid criteria. The law says that if there is validity, if it is done in good faith, then only one can go for abortion. What is good faith? What does good faith means? If it is done for the protection of the woman. Only 12 weeks. See, in 1960s, what was happening, that there was population explosion. Society was modernizing. Discourses were changing. So, in that time, what exactly used to happen that, that you see that when we study population, there is this phase that there is high birth rate and low death rate. Previously, what was the case? High death rate, high birth rate. So somehow population was declining. But after 1960s, due to the increase in medical factors and medical infrastructures, population suddenly started rising. And in these cases, there were many incidences of unwanted pregnancies. 1. Second, there was a report towards equality. How many of you know that about report towards equality? 1974, yes. So that report was done because of changes, advancement in the medical care, particularly related with ultrasound. Okay. So you see, PCPNDT was directly an offshoot of that report. So at that time, many incidences of child infanticide, feticide, as well as abortions were witnessed across India. Why? Because now death rate decreased and birth rate started increasing to a significant extent. So in this background, this law was medical termination of pregnancy law was enacted. First we have to understand medical termination of pregnancy, then only yes. So you see that what is medical termination of pregnancy act, this is that if it is done in order to reduce maternal mortality owing to safe abortion, the medical termination of Pregnancy Act was brought into 1971. This law is an exception to the Indian Penal Code of 312 and 313 and sets out the rule of how and when medical abortions can be carried out. So you see that if it is done in good faith पता है सबको क्या क्या हो सकता है? The purpose is to save the life of the pregnant woman. Broadly, it was extended to include the pregnancy against the wishes of the woman, particularly if it is done of a single woman, rape, woman related with the disasters, woman whose husband died or she got the divorced. Only in these cases, pregnancy was allowed and it was largely about the good faith. Now, this effectively made the unconditional abortion illegal in India. So, section 313 of the IPC states that a person who causes the miscarriage with the consent of the, without the consent of the pregnant woman, whether or not sees the advanced stage of her pregnancy, shall be punished with life imprisonment or jail term that could extend to 10 years as well as fine. Clear? So, MTP laid the guidelines. MTP laid the guidelines that you have to go to a registered medical practitioner. Registered medical practitioner. Now, who is registered medical practitioners? Doctors naturally. And this is all, this still upholds. Now, they generally started questioning many people, particularly single individual, that why you want to opt for pregnancy. And the autonomy and the right of the individual was not followed. Agency, you understand what is agency? What is agency? Autonomy and agency. We generally say na agency, that agency is not with the women or agency is not with the children's. What is the meaning of agency here? Decisions, exactly. So this decision was given to whom? This decision was given to the person who was responsible for the pregnancy. So how they take? As it generally happens that the boyfriend accompanies the woman. 2, that basically there are so many contraceptive methods which are available and which generally has an efficacy of 90%. Like contraceptive tablets, you must have heard about that. So this also relates to the unsafe pregnancy. Medical tablets also, you must have heard some of the names, IPL and such other later. These are the tablets which are steroid based, and this generally has a significant impact on the overall progression of the women fertility and fecundity period. So these are not good for the women health. So this was the next problem that the society as a whole was facing because of the abortion law. Now, in 2021, MTP was amended. Now, the 12-week to 24-week period is there. 12 weeks still holds, but in case 24-week, when the woman is either a survivor of the sexual assault or rape or incest, she is a minor, her marital status has changed during the ongoing pregnancy. If she has a major physical disability or is mentally ill on the grounds of fetal malformation, incompatible with life of the child is born. So these are the broad parameters in which pregnancy, termination of pregnancy up to 24, these are the point. You can read it. These are the points in which the pregnancy can be aborted to 24 weeks. Apart from that, 12-year and 20-year is the fixed, 20 weeks is the fixed guidelines. What if someone has to undergo pregnancy after 24 weeks? In this case, in the first case, consent by only one medical practitioner is needed. Clear? See, this is relevant for as per the prelims. In the 12-week, only one medical practitioner is needed till 24 weeks. How much? 2. And after 24 weeks? Huh? 4. And it is decided by the state. That if suppose very severe, see there are so many deficiencies which can only be learned only after the 7 weeks. So in such cases, if there is more than panel of 4 doctors who can decide that the pregnancy is allowed, termination of the pregnancy is allowed or not. Okay. So this is the first part about the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act. Now we will again come back to the first part, that why abortion, this case, that why single woman or any single woman can now seek abortion. So what was the judgment? The Supreme Court ruled that the right available to the married woman under the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971 to abort a fetus will be available to unmarried women also. Now this is the major change. Unmarried. Previously, what was the case? Now, Rule 3B is understood as only for the married women. It will perpetuate the stereotype that only married women indulge in the sexual activities. This is not constitutionally sustainable. This is the line by Justice Chandrachud. Not constitutionally sustainable. Further, the bench said the artificial distinction between married and unmarried women cannot be sustained, and that woman must have the autonomy to have free exercise over these rights. Third part. Fourth, while stressing reproductive autonomy is closely linked to bodily autonomy, the court ruled that the right to choose contraceptions, the number of children, and whether or not to abort to have been taken without the influence of the social factors. ये क्लियर हुआ सबको? नहीं? देखिए, bodily autonomy, children whether not to abort to taken without the influence of the social factors. अभी तक कौन डिसाइड कर रहा था? फैमिली डिसाइड कर रही थी, है ना? फैमिली एंड द ओवरऑल सोसाइटी, भी लोग क्या कहेंगे? That is the problem with the single mothers, na? And that's why most of the people seek it from quakes, that how to abort the pregnancy. And it has nearly cost of $330 million per year on the public healthcare infrastructure because of the unsafe methods. $330 million. You see, this is the cost that was incurring. Further, the court held that the interpretation of MTP Act has to reflect the societal realities. Now, in that case, abortion was considered as a crime, as illegality. Now, after this act, abortion is legit. It added that denying access to safe abortion will increase people resorting to unsafe abortion. Abortion right for rape survivors, the court said that married women may also part of a class of survivors of sexual assault and rape, as it is quite possible that a woman may become pregnant on account of non-consensual act by the husband. And this is the basic line where the marital rape, provision of marital rape applies. Initially, there was no provision. Clear? यहां तक जो भी पार्ट था, this was covered under DV Act, domestic violence. अब this can open new doors. Recognition of marital rape. In such cases, abortion was not allowed. Now, women can go and go for the abortion. So, autonomy and agencies being given back to the women. Now, the court has held that the MTP Act and the Protection of POSCO Act has to read harmoniously, and there is no need to disclose the identity of minors under the MTP Act. Initially, the guardian must be accompanied by any individual in case of unmarried women to the doctors, medical practitioners. But that provision is completely dispensed away with. Now, pregnancy is the sole prerogative of women and held that the circumstances may vary for each, and various economic, cultural and social factors play in this are important parts. So, what are the significance of the judgment? Right to life and personal liberty. Unmarried woman has the same freedom to decide whether or not to have the children as a married woman under the reproductive autonomy, dignity and privacy right guaranteed by Article 21. Right to equality. Judgment ensured that it was the right of the equality before the law and equal protection of the law to deny single or unmarried pregnant woman that the right to abortion. It will ensure that single women seeking abortion beyond 20 weeks cannot be turned down on the basis that the statute is too restrictive. Further, acknowledgement of the reproductive autonomy. Every pregnant woman intrinsic right to choose and not to undergo an abortion without the approval or authorization from a third party, or so it was the law that acknowledged it as a provider-centric is being labeled as the law. Now, doctors need not report the identity of minors seeking abortion. Section 1921, initially the parents, generally they used to take the person and saying that we are married, and there are so many questions, even doctor forced them to show their identity. So, these were the problems, and there was many articles related with that. So, discourages the illegal practices of abortion. I gave you the data. If you want to write it, you can write it. This part. What is the data in this case? That nearly 3,31,000 abortion. $3,31,000 abortion takes place per day. Across the world, and 40% of the cases are from India. %60% of such abortion ends up at the unsafe centers, costing nearly 330 million on the public exchequer. Now, the next part, we have already discussed it. Previously, it was an criminal act, 20 weeks, but alters it, and now the provision of what? 1 year jail sentence and fine up to 5,000 has been dispensed away completely. Issues in the present law. The MPP, these are the broad guidelines about the MTP Act itself. so we don't have to go into the detail of that. Judicial interventions in case of abortion, landmark judgment, Puttaswamy judgment, we have heard that. KS Puttaswamy versus Union of India and others, the Supreme Court has held that the decision by a pregnant woman on whether to continue a pregnancy or not is the part of such a person's right to privacy as well as therefore the right to life and personal liberty under Article 21 of the Constitution. We all know about Puttaswamy judgment. Several women annually approach the Apex Court and High Court where medical board reject their application to assess MTP beyond the period of 24 weeks, seeking permission to abort a pregnancy, mostly in case where it is a result of the sexual assault. ठीक है, क्लियर है? ये बात हम लोग डिस्कस की है अभी. क्या था? 4 week कौन डिसाइड करता है? Who is the authority for deciding that the period, gestational period is beyond the review of the law? Doctors by 4 board, and it is decided by the state. There is no enabling provision by the center. So state government decides it and the state board decides it, and this is one of the major problem. Now marital rape, because that act somehow questioned the marital rape or spousal rape can be defined as having sexual intercourse with one's spouse without the letter assent. The problem kahan aa rahi thi? It has been recognized in some Western country but not in India. Why? And there has been, very discussion that give the rights about the marital rape, and there are so much issues in the marital rape. So what is the issue of the marital rape first of all? Why it is not being recognized?
How to check it is marital rape? Checking of marital rape.
To ascertain that some assault or rape is marital rape in itself is a very difficult task, isn't it? Further, as the government says, because see, basically Supreme Court has recognized marital rape in a disguised way. It is not explicitly made into the law. It is related with the aspect of the pregnancy till now. But recognizing marital rape in itself is a very difficult proposition in case of India. Third, and most importantly, nearly 85% of the domestic violence cases are the fake cases. Huh? 85%. Yes, 85%. Nearly 85%. So, they are, see, probably this can be questioned also, and as the feminist questions it generally, because you don't provide the mechanism to support any of it. Overall, the NALSA proposition is not functioning properly, and this is the topic we will take subsequently. The advocates are not, well equipped with the understanding of the domestic violence. Second, that due to societal pressures, so many culturals are at play, social, economical and part. Most of the domestic violence is generally settles in out of court settlement way. So there is no proposition to identify that 80% or 85% of the cases are failing per se. But you see, the thing is that these are the issues that it is covered. Marital rape is covered under the provisions of the domestic violence. And domestic violence is what? In any case, mentally or physically, if you are trying to spousal, generally it is rated with the spousal. First females were not included, now after amendment females were included too. So unwanted sexual intercourse that usually involves a man using force, threat of force, physical violence on his wife when she does not give a consent to have it. It is related because previously, if the child is if the wife is less than 12-year-old, in such case, it was recognized, marital rape was recognized. If less than 12 years old. In some communities, it is still less than, but there is no fixed marriage of the age. Further, until 18 years of the pregnancy, marital rape, if can be allowed, it can, if it was complained, it was recognized, and there was provision for the abortion too. Less than 18 years of old. But this provision is not there in case of wife is above 18 years of old. And you will be surprised to know that most of the unwanted pregnancy is taking place in the age group of 14 to 19. 14 to 19. So that's why this judgment is very significant if we consider the overall reality. Now, types of marital rape, just read it, though it is of no consequence per se. Battering rape, women have to undergo physical and sexual violence in their marital relationships. Battered during the sexual violence, physically violent episodes. More than 45% of the marital cases, the marital rape cases in India are battering rapes. The most common form of marital rape found in India, majority of marital rapes forms under this category. Physical and sexual violence. So you see there is a component of the domestic violence also. नहीं? समझ आ रहा है? Okay. Force only. Involves the uses of unnecessary force by the husband to coerce their wives into the sexual intimacies and intercourse, typically inflicted on spouse who have refused for the sexual intercourse. It does not involve battering or physical violence. Obsessive sadistic rape. So these are the types of the rape. Important is that we have to understand battering rapes. Now, and what is the remark of the court? Court said that a husband acts of the sexual assault or rape against the wife is included in the definition of sexual assault or rape in rule. Marital rape must therefore be included in the definition of rape for the sole purpose of MTP Act and any rules and regulation made thereunder. Any alternative interpretation would force a woman to carry a child or raise its partner who abuses her physically and psychologically. So you see that these are the issues. First we see that what are the problems. These are the things which you have to understand. Shortcoming in the existing law. It is often said that the domestic violence deals with the marital rape in India. There is no need to criminalize it under the separate law. This is the main point. That if something is covered under the domestic violence, then why you are criminalizing it? Clear? But the very definitional part is problematic. Why? Clearly not defining the act, one, and second, that it is the part of the civil procedure. It is not criminal procedure. So if something is filed under domestic violence and if it is not related with rape, bail is easier. Now, domestic violence is considered to be a civil law by the courts and thus accused can get away without any jail terms. Further, another problem is that sexual abuse is mentioned in the act does not explicitly define the rape as it is defined in the section 375 of the IPC. Thus, the current law has no provision if a woman wants to file a criminal case against her husband and if her husband is raping her. So, these are the problematic part with the law, DV law or domestic violence law as of now. Further, but what are the argument against? High possibility that it will be a misuse of the law since it is related to the very personal and sensitive subjects like sex between a married couple. How you will ascertain that? 85% of the dowry cases turn out to be false. Majority of the cases registered under 498 are false or mistaken fact law. Given such state of affairs, making marital rape a criminal offence would prove to be a disaster, harming social harmony. Say basically the government contention is that if you will enact the laws related with marital rape, it will break the family down. This is the main contention. See, any act done in the good view can create problem. How many of you are aware with this term? I believe that most of you are moral hazards. Moral hazards. क्या होता है इसका मतलब? Any idea? You used it in the case of economy, na? Subsidy particularly. That is the case of moral hazards. No. Moral hazards. जो अरविंद केजरीवाल कर रहे हैं. Okay. And particularly anything that is related with subsidy. In that case, moral hazard is used. that you enact a law for some section of the society and ultimately all the people associated with the society are taking benefit of it. So basically, this term originated in 1955 after a compensation was given to single mother in United States. Single mother. Okay, in United States. Some monetary compensation was given. It increased the number significantly in the United States. It increases, significant increase was witnessed in the case of single mother. So that's why it is said that moral hazard is there. So you give free electricity in Punjab or in Haryana during the Green Revolution. The result. And the impact on the overall society, so overall environment. So that was the part. So this is the main part, that because of which how you will define that something is a rape, particularly in the case where the burden, onus of proof is on the woman, man or woman. See, right now there are provisions. If it is not married, then there are certain provisions because of which you say somebody can say that even now rape case is being misused in a significant extent. So what is the guarantee that such cases will not be? That such cases will not be false per se. See the notion, how many of you are aware with the Malimat committee recommendation? See, in India we follow the definitive notion of justice. कि भाई सुना होगा ना मूवी में आप लोगों ने, एक इनोसेंट छूट जाए, 100 गुनहगार छूट जाए, एक इनोसेंट नहीं छूटना चाहिए. दिस इज द मेजर लाइन इन द मूवी. सो दिस इज डेफिनेटिव नोशन ऑफ द जस्टिस, that nobody innocent can go unpunished, so or criminal go unpunished. This is the part. But Malibat committee recommended that it should be circumstantial evidence. Probabilistic disposition of justice was the recommendation of Malibat committee. So when we talk about that, in marital rape, it will be based on the probabilistic disposition, because there is no certainty that it was rape or not. That's why government is saying that once you will enact the laws regarding the marital rape, the family will start breaking down. The family system will break down. And that's why it is being said that it will start the process of moral hazard in the in case of Indian society. The second part, burden of proof, the same. You understand the concept of burden of proof? No? See, burden of proof generally lies with the state. It is the state authority that has to investigate. Except some cases, rape is one, terrorism is another. You have to prove that you are innocent. When marital rape would be considered a crime, there will be burden either on the wife to prove the offense or on the husband to prove himself innocent, and therefore it will be very difficult to apply. Third, threat to the institution of marriage. Marriage is a concept that is built around the idea of love, trust and respect. However, many argue that criminalizing marital rape will make the parties in the relationship try to be legally careful in normal course of affair, fearing the occurrence of such institutions or coming up of such allegations. See, in case of United States is what? What is the situation of West when we consider the family system? See, basically, it is till a certain age, like 18, 16, the parents take care of your needs. But after 16 or 18, generally you are all by yourself. And in fact, even you are 10 or 5, for 10, after 10 years, you have to start working at certain restaurant wherever you want, so that you can earn some money and save some money. And it is not true for the middle class or poorer families. It is also true for the rich families also. They also send their children to work at some summer camps so that they can earn the money and give the overall protection or the whatever they want to buy. So they have to buy it from there. So this is the case. So independence is there from the 16 year itself. In case of United States family. In case of Indian family, if you want to study and if your is 25, 26, 27, and if you want to study, your parents will say you can go on. In 1945, there was a study in the sociology that once somebody asked a 38-year-old Brahmin that what do you do? He said that my father is alive, then what I'm supposed to do? My father is doing all the works. So in India, family is very collective. So the choices that you make depends upon your family's wishes, isn't it? Now, the percentage of love marriage are increasing, but largely the overall marriage is still arranged marriage. Now, means the unknown issues is still there. The stranger part is still there, and in case of some problem, what will be the consequence? So the husband and wife, the trust issue will be gone, at least for the 7 years. Nahi samjhe? The validity of the DV is generally the Dowry Act is for 7 years. So at least for 7 years, pending some whatever the government will decide. But at least for 7 years, the trust will not be built, because the husband or the male will be apprehensive that someday it can be the marital rape case. What the feminists are saying? The feminists are saying, okay, fine, but you see that sadistic part and such other part is not covered. It is generally covered under the domain or definition of the domestic violence. But the purpose of such is different. Purpose of such crime is different. So how can you say that it is not rape per se? Any right-based issue or right-based group is saying that, the purpose of the domestic violence and the something which is done in the case of marital rape, the intended outcome is different. So you have to recognize what it is. The court is recognition abortion due to the marital rape, but the overall part is not recognized as such. The last point is against privacy. Some argue that the making marital rape a crime would allow the state to interfere into the personal affair of individual, and it will be violative of Article 21. Now, protection of, and what are the arguments for criminalization of marital rape would help protect the basis right of the woman, such as the right to live with human dignity, right to sexual privacy, right to bodily self-determination, and the right to equality. Also, UN Committee on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women had twice in 2007 and 2014 urged India to criminalize marital rape on similar grounds. It views marital rape as sort of discrimination against the woman that violates the principle of equality of rights and respect of the human dignity. So these are the part, but again UN is saying, but the reality in case of India or particularly South Asian is completely different from the Western reality. So what should be the way forward in such cases? Healthcare worker spread the message that all women across the board about availability of accredited terminal clinics both in government and private healthcare care, where the certainty will be there related with the perversion. Okay, broader view, bodily autonomy and reproductive right must be viewed from three lenses: legal, medical and social. Only when women and non-binary pregnant people enjoy absolute autonomy over their own bodies by these parameters can one claim that India is showing the way to the overall society. Holistic approach, inclusivity, complete bodily autonomy, reproductive equality. You see that one part which was very important related with the marital rape, abortion. It is being recognized by the court. But as the decision will come, we will subsequently see that how the government has charted the view on the marital rape case in India. Okay, but broadly the definition was this. Now we will start with Not HDI. HDI we will be taking later. We will start with social contract. हाँ तो भाई social contract होता क्या है? What is social contract theory? Third topic. What is social contract theory?
The government will take care of the people.
सोशल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट अब तो सब जो नहीं जान रहे फॉर द अनइनिशिएटर्स बेसिकली वी यूज टू लिव इन ट्राइब्स एंड हर्ड सोसाइटी आफ्टर दैट सोसाइटी इमर्ज्ड डेवलप्ड सो वी स्टार्टेड लिविंग इन बिगर ग्रुप isn't it? So we gave some right to the government in exchange for some of our duties and with the belief that government will protect us. This is social contract theory. Vaguely this is social contract theory. So what was our duty? To pay taxes first of all. This was our foremost important duty. And what was the duty of the government? To protect us. Huh. So why there is suddenly there is the issue of that nearly in every newspaper you will see that we need new social contract. Why suddenly there is this issue of new social contract? Rate of inequality in the society, yes. Particularly started in the aftermath of COVID crisis. And as people said that the government has failed to protect them. Isn't it? Though some part of was there from the very beginning. But largely the COVID crisis appended the crisis or increased the crisis to a significant extent. Initially, when the nation state was formed, the government nearly took care of all the measures, isn't it? That they provided with the healthcare facilities. Like in case of United States, largely the country was very welfare country. Welfare economy was there, isn't it? There was trade union organization also. Who propagated your views, who propagated your demands to the government, and in exchange of that demand, government started working or listened to you or subsequently made the rules. Railway strike of 1971, 64. अभी भी रेलवे स्ट्राइक हुआ था कहाँ पे कौन से कंट्री में बताइए? There was very big railway strike in UK. Further, initially we had the government hospitals. Now the hospitals are run by the private authorities. So initially everything, but see after the privatization started, after globalization started, nearly all the responsibilities of the state is being delegated to whom? Private entities. So how can we say that the old social contract is still in the fashion or will still hold a society together? Because society in itself is changing. So, and the business organizations are the main provider of the services. But we cannot build a social contract with them. So what should be the nature of social contract? This is the idea about the topic. That what is social contract? So social contract is in broader agreement between a government and its people setting out the rights and duties of each other. The social contracts on which society is currently based largely emerged in the post-war era and no longer fit for the purpose as we consider the impact and the lessons from COVID. New social contracts could help bring about more equitable prosperity. So why the nature of the social contract is changing? Because responsibility of the states are now an obligation of and business case for the private sector. This is the point which we have understood. Nahin? The need of individual today are disparate and heterogeneous, may no longer be the met just through the large investment in physical or social infrastructure, and are increasingly being addressed through the niche solution based offered by the private enterprises. भाई पहले क्या डिमांड था? बोनस चाहिए सबको, यही था ना पहले. आपने देखा होगा इंडिया के केस में ही, that Ahmedabad mill strike, Bombay mill strike, even during the independence movement, people wanted more salary, isn't it? Now is the nature of the demand, because people are working more in a atomized way, है कि नहीं? Atomized, अलग अलग लोकेशन पे काम कर रहे हैं, तो सच केस में होमोजेनिटी कहाँ से आएगी? हेट्रोजेनिटी. तो अब किसी की वाइफ हस्बैंड काम कर रही है सेम चीज, उनको वही चीज तो नहीं चाहिए ना भाई, डिमांड तो चेंज होता जा रहा है. सो atomization of work has constrained the extent to which individual can organize and make demands. समझ आया? नहीं आया? Atomization of work has constrained the extent, and what are you saying?
What is the meaning of atomization of work?
Swiggy riders, from where they are working? They are working from not from one space. Platform economy. Take any of the platform economy. Further, BPO culture, or calls in the IT sector jobs. You are coordinating with the people from the United States of nearly 5-6 teams, or you are working from home. So atomization is what? That you are working in an individual and very small capacity. Initially for such thing trade union was there. Initially for such thing there was one common group based on which appeals can be made to the government or to the company. Swiggy ने strike किया, कुछ result निकला. You must have seen that, every other month the Ola riders or the Ola people are on the strike. Increasing salary. But even when they are on strike, you will still see that Ola, cab and autos are still plying on the road. Because there is no unity. And unity comes from what? Homogeneity. And homogeneity will only be there when you are working from one place. And government is also not protecting them. Government needs to be a regulator in such cases, na? In case of Karnataka, what happened? To offset such clauses or to balance Amazon and Flipkart, government launched an initiative. I believe that you must have heard it, na? ONDC. Okay? But people are not buying from ONDC. In nearly 1 week, only 650 number of sales was there. Similarly, in case of Ola and Uber, the Bangalore government started the platform in which it act as a cab aggregator, but it failed miserably. So the function of the government to regulate the workplace and workplace environment is completely failing. So the social contract in which the government was supposed to save the workers is not there. Clear? So this is the next point, that the collectives and the unions that traditionally acted as an arbiters for the interest of substantial stakeholder groups are increasingly ineffective. Therefore, there is an additional need for the new guarantor of the relationship between individual and the private sector that provides for purpose, paychecks and protection. ठीक है? After globalization, trade union in nearly every country failed. After globalization, after a significant while you will see, means after a significant period, you will see that hardly there. It is the Kerala in India only, where there is a communist government. Rest everywhere, the communist government is failing, because largely the government is taking the rule of the populistic model, but it is catering only to some certain significant section, where there is a homogenization in this section. For example, Hindi language. It can be it can act as an homogenizing ground. Tamil language, DMK policies. It can act as an homogenizing ground. But apart from that, where the interest of the workers are involved, there is no homogenizing ground. And that is the problem. Now, from the job security to economic security, a new formality. This is the next part. Digitization is enabling unpredictable transformation in work across G20 countries and beyond. One result of this is that relationship between employer and the employees has fundamentally changed, and so too many have to have the responsibility borne by the employers. While a future social contract may not be able to credibly promise job security, it should be able to guarantee social and economic security. That is the financial security and social security that were previously provided by the full-time jobs and must now be provided through alternative means. क्या समझे? Three processes are taking at the same time. You must have heard about that initially there was period of 180 days. After 180 days, you have to give your employee the security benefits. मिलता था? That after 180 days, you are considered as a permanent member of the organization and you are given the same benefit as that of. So, to offset this, most of the works are now contractualized. And because of the contractualization, such social security, economic security benefits are not given. Second, ancillarization. Ancillary क्या होता है? Ancillarization. What is an ancillary? No idea? Say for example, yes, the service which is less important provided by some other companies. Extra services. So, you see that there is this ancillarization of works in the company also. For example, last year there was a conflict in Bangalore in the Foxconn factory of Apple where the people fought or the laborers fought with the authority. Do you remember that? No?
Yes, sir.
Haan. So, the ancillarization, they are not organized or recognized by the company but rather by some labor groups. And small work is being done in some at other places. So, ancillarization is taking place also. So, there is no guarantee of social security as well as economic security. Most of the works are contractualized, ancillarized, and third, hire and fire policy is adopted. To offset this clause, hire and fire policies. So, these three clauses when adopted, so the role of the government to protect the worker in the social and economic security aspect is also not happening, and more informality can be witnessed across the society. This is one important part. Now, from factory to cloud, a new point of provision. ये समझ आया, हेडिंग से समझ आ गया होगा. Welfare system based on job, no job binary and the workplace as the point of the provision are too restrictive to account for the variation and variability in the employment that are characteristics of work today. Social benefit should not be longer linked to the specific job but available to the individual regardless of their employment status. वही basic minimum pay की बात कर रहे हैं. Clear? Some country, even in 2006 report of social security for the unorganized workers, Africa में शुरू हुआ था. Basic, you see that factory to cloud. Initially there was job, no job. But largely आप सुन रहे होगे क्लाउड इकोनॉमी चल रही है. ठीक है, जॉब है नहीं जॉब है पता नहीं है किसी को. नहीं समझे? Job, no job, that part is not clear. Somebody, who are the person who are working at the YouTube content creator, of that matter any content creator anywhere. and they are getting very much, they are getting very handsomely paid by the YouTubers, or sorry, the YouTube companies, advertisement companies. So how can you say that there is job or no job? There is this no binary of some person. Probably somebody would have thought that this person, Bhuvan Bam, is unemployed, but he is earning much more money than a significant people around the world. Zakir Khan, Bhuvan Bam, any person you can take the example of. So no job criteria is not there. Fourth, from atomization to solidarity, constructing cooperative networks shapes the extent employment status, shapes the extent to which labor laws are applicable, that workers have the labor union and to each other. The individualization of labor therefore affects the power of workers by constraining their ability to connect and organize. So in such cases, state policy and private sector choices should actively aid in the constructions of cooperative networks rather than hoping that new technology lets individual as worker create them for themselves. ये समझ आया? अभी कुछ दिनों पहले अमेंडमेंट आया था ना कॉपरेटिव्स में, बियॉन्ड द स्टेट बनाने के लिए. Cooperatives, what are the cooperatives first of all? It is not guided by the government. It is guided by the people. So, initially atomization, you see that larger organizations are emerging from, except from single individual. We are talking about, say for example, milk sellers. From milk sellers to Amul, from single individual to Amul, these organizations are emerging and they are constructing networks and they are saving it for themselves, doing it by themselves. So the social contract that was associated by the government is changing. Clear hai? From regulation to devolution, a new role for the locals. Increasingly, the private sector is changed with the activities in the provision of public goods. Just think about it. Initially, BSNL was the provider. Every services was provided by the BSNL, MTNL. Now, Airtel, Vodafone, or Jio are the provider. Initially, the railways was complete monopoly of the government. Space was the monopoly of the government. But now, Elon Musk is also there. So the part that the government said that, we will protect you from this and we will protect you from that. So the government is failing in that case. So the why should we pay the taxes to the government then? Initially you were regulated, now everything is devolved to the private authorities. So why should we pay taxes to the government? That is the question. So these are the part because of which the intellectuals are saying that, we should do away with the old social contract and we should move towards the new social contracts. So in such new social contract, what are these stakeholder capitalism? कौन जानता है इसके बारे में? Stakeholder capitalism. अभी तो डिस्कस किया था. क्या होता है?
Company works not just in the interest of shareholders, but all the people in the society.
यही हुआ ना स्टेकहोल्डर कैपिटलिज्म. Single individual to the skill development and career pathways. Contract define the work of the world should allow companies flexibility to reshape their workforce to enable innovation and new hybrid ways of working and enable workers the flexibility to assess career breaks and training that will help them thrive in the changing world. Example दीजिए. Any example? No? You see that there was a program, and particularly if we want, then biggest example is CSR. Relate कर पा रहे? हाँ, CSR. How? Microsoft started it. Microsoft started training the employees in 1996 to, you say, basically G2s and low income group people who have the basic qualification. They started giving internship of nearly 1 year, 2 years to these peoples. So after maybe a gap of 2 or 1 years after the completion of their training, they were included in the Microsoft company. And after periodic gap, they were given the training also. So such people started working and shaping their career at the Microsoft itself. So Microsoft example, even the same is being done by the Wipro also. Microsoft. This is how skill development and career pathways through CSR initiative is changing the notion and bringing more inclusivity in the changing world. Responsible, and this is done by whom? If we are talking about CSR, this is being facilitated by whom? Huh? Government. In case of it is the government. In the United States, it is philanthropies basically. It is not mandated per se, but the institutions are doing. But in case of India, it is being done by the government. CSR. Because you see that now they have become the main profit makers. So it is imperative that they should give something back to the society. Responsible use of technology, and this is important because the rise of disinformation threatens individual privacy and democratic process on which the functioning society depends. A recent study found that roughly half of the US adults now say the government should take steps to restrict false information, even if it means losing some freedom to access and publish content. There is considerable evidence that the flaw in the information ecosystem disproportionately impacts the most vulnerable, especially the young and the economically dispossessed. Government have struggled to move as quickly as the pace of innovation and would do expend their expertise and create special purpose entities to find policies. The thing is that changes are occurring, but laws are not able to keep in pace with the changing law. So in such cases, what should be the responsible use of technology? So some people are arguing that for some time, particularly spread of information can be curtailed. Clear? Nahin? See, technology has become new medium for regulation of the society. Technology has emerged as a new medium as a contract. The one who controls the technology is controlling the society.
But by using of same technology, government is taking from their partners in terms of.
This is what they are saying, that the responsible use of technology should be started.
Example, online systems, online services they are providing to. They are avoiding the physical contact.
No, I'm not getting you exactly. What is your question? Can you?
Whatever the government having the previously physical contacts in terms of services and everything. But present day all are going to be shifting privatization and online services. It has been creating the loss of social contact. That is a major problem.
That is the major.
How we can able to fill that gap?
Again, by using technology. Sometimes it is the only solution. Okay. Clear hai? So basically what they are saying that we should start a new social contract where there is scope for everybody and not for some individual only. As we have discussed in the previous ED classes, we know this fact that the biggest inequality in today's world is not economic inequality, is rather inequality of technology. The one who controls the technology nearly controls everything. In this case, the big four are controlling the world. So how can we say that, then how can we move towards a society where the government is regulating. More importantly, the sovereignty of any country is decreasing or eroding. Why? Because it is the technological masters who controls the overall discourse, the narrative. So in such cases, see, basically this is in the debate. I know it will be a bit difficult for you because largely it is the topic of political science. But it is in the debate, so you have to understand it. Now, the HDI report. So you must know the data, and particularly what is the rank of India in HDI report? 127 in how many countries? See, this is the data. Every year it will be same. 132 out of 191 countries. Okay? And Human Development Report tracking the global decline in human development. 90% of the countries have registered a reduction in the Human Development Index, HDI, 2020 and 2021, reversing much of the progress towards the sustainable development goal. In the last decade itself, India brought nearly functionally 230 million people out of poverty. But in last 2 years, these 2 years, nearly 70 million are again sank back to the poverty. That's why most of the countries who have progressed in this case are facing the heat now. Now these are, see, this is the completely data-based topic and it would be redundant. India's Human Development Index values for 2021 is 0.63, which medium human development index. HDI economy, Philippines, Venezuela have slipped to a medium development category. Caribbean, Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia has been particularly hard. India value continues to exceed South Asia's average human development value. These are the part, again related with some state PCS examination. Broadly data, you will get it. The global trend towards the continued decline in human development, with many countries stagnating or moving down through the human development categories index. European states remain the top: Norway, Iceland, Denmark and Sweden, nearly all the Scandinavian countries plus Switzerland. HDI started in 1990, composite measure for development that challenge the purely economic assessment of national progress, measure of human development based on 3 basic parameters: long and healthy life, access to knowledge, access to decent standard of living. ठीक है, 3 पैरामीटर्स कौन कौन से याद रहेंगे आप लोगों को? Long and healthy life, access to knowledge, access to decent standard of living, inequality in the distribution of human development across the population at the country level. Now, India's performance, life expectancy at birth was recorded at 67.2, schooling 11.9, means year of schooling was 6.7 years, gross national income stood at $6,590, gender equality ranked 122, and gender inequality index. See, you have to remember it. There is no understanding pattern. Now, how can India improve its ranking? Just undue uncertainty complex. COVID-19 pandemic, beyond its damage to people's health and mental well-being, also has devastated economies and exacerbated gender inequality. Gender inequality witnessed a nearly global rise. The world suffered at 6.7% increase in gender inequality. South Asian countries like Bangladesh and Bhutan bucked the trend and registered an improvement. Suggested that the stress, sadness, anger and worry have increased over the past decades and now reaching record levels. On average, countries spend nearly 2% of their healthcare budgets on mental health, which limits, what is the ratio for India in case of spend on the mental health? कोई data है किसी के पास में? See, this is the report. You have to remember as it is. It is only 0.7% of the total budget, health budget. So there is no specialization per se. Uncertainty and inequality go hand in hand with the polarization and lack of trust. Polarization and mistrust shrink our capacity for social dialogue and stifle collective actions. Globally, less than 30% of the people think most people can be trusted. It's the lowest recorded value. The world does not transition to a COVID-19 build back better scenario. On the contrary, developing countries in every region are entering sharply divergent social, political and economic period with specifically downside for the most vulnerable and regression in gender equality. Datas are there. The important thing is that the rich country are able to tackle it, but in case of poor country, there is very wide gender discrimination. Region. What are the reason? Why it is so hard on the developing countries, particularly related with the gender aspect? Not orthodox thinking. See, this is the line which you have to, uncertainty, inequality and insecurity go hand in hand with polarization. Who is the worst sufferer of the COVID in case of health outcome? Women ही है ना, they always feel the double burden, double jeopardy. So uncertainty was also there, joblessness, insecurity is also there. So all these factors are creating a lack of trust. So it is creating a kind of polarization. You must have seen that society got more polarized in the aftermath of 2021 crisis, 2020 COVID crisis than it was before. Nahi. Polarization, see, polarizations lead to what? Stifle collective actions and social dialogue. And this is the reason collective action is not there. That CSOization and जो हुआ था आपका CSOs जो handle कर रही थी वो नहीं कर पा रही हैं. Society as a whole is not handling the poverty crisis per se. The interest has decreased, social dialogue has decreased, and because of which tensions are increasing. And now see this data, 30% of the people think most people can be trusted. It is the lowest recorded values. And this is the data of HDI. Where you will use it? Crystallization of attitude is taking place. Even with globalization, even with so much connective technologies where the interaction is there, we are going into a society where 30% of the people can be trusted is the global mandate. So this is the part. So this is the question, okay, that this is the part that there is this problematic part. Now how can India improve its ranking? SDG goal 3, ensure healthy lives and promotes well-being for all at all the ages. Current status, the center and the state spends approximately 1.2% of the GDP on health, well below the world average of 5.99%. High out-of-pocket expenditure, 85.6, which is according to World Bank is the highest in the world. What is high out-of-pocket expenditure? What is the meaning of out-of-pocket expenditure? Anything which is not covered by the government or the insurance policy. 85.6, 2 years before it was 68%. You see the impact of COVID. IMR, which was 81 in 1990, reduced to 40. Much higher than the global average for the world percentage. Maternal mortality rate, 174 in 2015, 215 in 2010. Still in absolute numbers, nearly 45,000 mothers died due to the cause related to the childbirth every year, which accounts for 17% of such death globally. Remember the data. It can be used in any of the mains answers, particularly GS1, GS2 and essay. Lowest density of healthcare workers, 7 per 10,000 population and nurses 17.1 per 10,000 population as against the global average of 13.9 and 28.6. Doctors 7 per 10,000 population. What is UN recommendation? 16. Now, and that too, we are talking about MBBS only. What is the required specialization? How much specialization is there in case of India? Only 2.4% doctors are specialized. 8% are single establishment clinics overall. Nearly 23% are quack doctors, unregistered practitioners. I believe you understand quack. You understand now what is the meaning of quack? What is the meaning of quack? Fake doctors. What is the meaning of fake doctors? You see, what is Ayush? आयुष क्या होता है? आयुर्वेदिक पढ़ा तो होगा ना? See, even these doctors are registered doctors. Okay, but if they are practicing medicine, and apart from that, homeopathic medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, and physiotherapy, dental. All these are considered as doctors in India. Okay, and if they start practicing allopathic medicine, then they will be considered as quack. Many a times in the smaller area, you will see that compounder has opened up the new clinic. These people have opened up the new clinic and they are giving the medicines. So even such significant population is also there. And among these population, only 2.4% if that of specialized doctors. With a global burden of disease of around 24% for the psychiatrist, we only spend 0.7 of the percentage given by this. The number of recommended doctors is 7 per 1,000. Government started the Ayushman Bharat program for providing the health insurance to the poor, but the solution of Indian healthcare crisis lies in preventive and promotive healthcare instead of focusing only on curative healthcare. क्या मतलब हुआ इसका? There is a model and it is Thailand model. Thailand model, and in fact such model is followed in Canada also and Germany also. Germany. If you are able to diagnose the percentage of heart attack, then you will be awarded. And how you will be identifying that some person is prone to heart attack? Based on certain criteria. नहीं. राजू श्रीवास्तव मर गया भाई एक्सरसाइज करते करते. बहुत लोग मर रहे हैं आज की डेट में पार्क में जाने से, इसलिए पार्क जाना बंद करो आप लोग. पहले दौड़ना ठीक है. नहीं सीरियसली, as young as near 35-36% are dying of heart attack. And in fact, you will read that there are many incidences in the news that they died while they are running. They were running in the morning in the park. So the thing is that in Thailand, if you are able to identify the problems beforehand in its early stage, then there are chances this problem can be dispensed and cured. For example, diabetes. So if you are able to identify that some person is pre-diabetic, then at least he can be cured of. Lifestyle modification will be there, isn't it? Similarly, blood pressure. If somebody is consistently have a high blood pressure, so he is also can be cured. So such model is followed in Thailand, that early identification, early prevention and promotive. You are promoting the better lifestyle. So you see, no such model is followed in case of India. What is the average time that a primary healthcare workers gives to patient? Two minutes. This is the average time. In 2 minutes, you will not be able to identify any of the issues. Okay. So, and how the overall thing functions? First, point of reference is PHC. Second is district healthcare or secondary healthcare, district health centers we said, and after that tertiary. Tertiary is? So you see that you are not able to identify the problem at first stage because of the low patient and doctor's interaction time. Now, this is transferred to secondary healthcare or district healthcare where there is lack of specialization. And when the burden of disease, NCDs, particularly non-communicable disease, is increasing and saying that it will increase by 23% by 2030, so early diagnosis is the way. You are not able to do it. And all such cases, case burdens are transferred to tertiary healthcare. That's why out of pocket expenditure it is always talked about. Nahin. If it is identified at the early stage, and there is a provision for the doctors also, that if you will be able to identify a person, then you will be given the monetary benefits. Such provision exists at Thailand and Germany and Canada. Okay. So, no provision, no preventive and promotive provision is focused in India. Largely prevention for us means what? Ashwagandha le lo, Ayurvedic medicine. The provision is generally related to the Ayurvedic medicine and some part fiber kha lena. But that is not the essential meaning of preventive medicine. Just let me tell you a very interesting case studies which I found while I was reading something. So there was this girl girl of 8 years, and she was suffering from liver cancer. I was just reading some doctor's post and that's when I came across this story. So she was suffering from liver cancer, particularly cirrhosis. So nearly every doctor said that, we will not be able to cure her. This case is as good as dead. So one of the good Smartian doctor who took up the case and said, okay, I will try to fix it. So he sent that report for the biopsy. Biopsy is the first process for the detection of the cancer. So when he sent that report, so the serology cultural said that, why the girl is consuming alcohol. First, tell her family to stop consumption of alcohol. So when this doctor said that why you are giving her alcohol, so the parents denied that no, we are not giving her any kind of alcohol. So but there was traces of alcohol in her liver, and largely it was alcoholic liver. So as it happened that, that the person said that she is undergoing some kind of homeopathic treatment for her fit related issues. Okay, she was a patient of fit. Okay, so fit related issues. So first of all, they stopped it, but her health was not improving. So again that doctor sent her report to some culture center in Pune, from where there was the report of the arsenic poisoning. Arsenic poisoning, you must have heard in the environment that there is the disease called by the arsenic poisoning. So again the doctor asked the family that what you are giving to that girl. So they said some Ayurvedic medicine, and he took up the sample and he sent the sample again for the testing, and it came with the traces of arsenic. So you see that in case of India, generally the parts about the preventive and proactive medicine is, promotive medicine is Ayurvedic and homeopathic. But again, these samples are not tested. You are never sure that what they are giving. भाई किसी पेड़ को काट के दे दो, पता नहीं ना आपको पेड़ के अंदर क्या है. So again, our government is focusing upon Ayush. But the real part, the main problem lies where? At the primary health care center. What the government is doing for primary health care centers? Because it needs more infrastructure. Na? It needs everything. It needs blood bank. There was provision of the blood bank but was not implemented. It needs particularly doctors. It needs healthcare workers. Doctors are not visiting the primary health care because threat of the violence one. There is no process for the high pay grade. Absenteeism is also there. Why somebody would with such a degree will want to serve a village places if it is not that intrinsically motivated? At least give him some motivation. That is also not happening. So you see that they are problem. Until and unless the primary health care issue is resolved with, the problem will persist on. So this is the part, that preventive and promotive healthcare, instead of focusing only on curative. Curative is an activity related with which part? Tertiary healthcare. Curative, na? Tertiary healthcare. With सर्दी खांसी जुकाम हुआ दवाई दे दो. Antibiotic burden है. है ना? So these are the problems. The country presently suffers from the triple burden of disease. The unfinished agenda of infectious disease, challenges of non-communicable disease linked with lifestyle changes, emergence of new pathogens causing epidemics and pandemics. बताइए, ये तो समझ ही गए होंगे, नॉन कम्युनिकेबल डिजीज, कैंसर, हाइपरटेंशन, ब्लड प्रेशर, डायबिटीज, है ना, particularly lifestyle changes. Okay, emergence of new pathogen causing epidemics and pandemics. ये टर्म किसको किसको पता है? लोकल ग्लोबलाइजेशन ऑफ डिजीज. बताइए, local globalization of disease. No one? See, suppose there is very much problems of dengue in Delhi as of now. We are seeing that the cases are rising significantly. So suppose some person, some patient visit from Delhi to Noida. So he is carrying the pathogens. Now NDMC, or for that matter MCD, will deal with dengue in a completely different way. Noida Municipal Authority will deal it in completely different way. So there is this local globalization of disease. For example, Nipah, COVID started in Kerala, or subsequently it just spread all across the India. So you see that globalization of disease is there, something is starting at some place, and because a person is a carrier, so the tendency towards local globalization of disease is throwing a challenge not towards the healthcare, but also towards the governmental structure, that how to control such disease. You cannot, always impose a lockdown that nobody will travel from Delhi to Noida, isn't it? So the authority has to come together. But these South Delhi Municipal Corporation and North Delhi Municipal Corporations are not working together. So this is a new challenge that we are witnessing in the case of health. Now, how to improve the health status? raise public healthcare expenditure at least spending to 3% of GDP, commitment to NCD disease at par with infectious disease, develop a sustainable mechanism to fund universal healthcare, build a robust referral preventive healthcare mechanism to reduce the burden of tertiary care. This is the part we have already discussed, primary healthcare. And there is this suggestion also that family medicine, जानते हैं आप लोग फैमिली मेडिसिन क्या होता है? हाँ नहीं, एक पहले बचपन में डॉक्टर हुआ करता था ना, हाथ में बक्सा लेके घुमा करता, पिक्चर में भी दिखाते हैं एक छोटा सा बॉक्स लेके. नहीं, नॉट हकीम, ही वाज, देयर वाज अ सेपरेट स्पेशलाइजेशन ऑफ फैमिली मेडिसिन, a branch of medicine, family medicine. So many committee and commissions have recommended that the practice of family medicine should again be encouraged in the doctors, because there are so many doctors who are practicing other branches but not family medicine, because it is not that, family medicine, or it is often said holistic medicine. There are very few practitioners of holistic medicine. So at least in family medicine, one will be aware about the families. Such is not the specialization of ASA, or the ASA should be trained in the way of family medicine. This is the part they are saying, with which the third part, robust referral and preventive healthcare system, can be improved upon. Okay. National Health Policy 17, achieving universal healthcare coverage and delivering quality healthcare service to all the affordable. Policies patient centric and quality driven, कहने वाली बातें हैं सारी. It policies proposes raising public health expenditure to 2.5. It aims to reach healthcare expenditure to 2.5 of the GDP from the current 1.4. It aims to reduce the TFR to 2.1 at the sub-national and national level by 2025. Talks about yoga in the preventive healthcare system. Yoga will control only the lifestyle changes related issues, isn't it? So it will be preventive in that sense, but the main issue will be how you are handling the PHCs. In such case, the models of the Kerala and Tamil Nadu is very good, where the primary healthcare sector is very much has improved. Now, about the education, same thing, ranked 104 out of 149 countries on the Legatum Prosperity Index of 2016. The index takes health and education along with the proper other measures of prosperity. There is a mismatch between learning outcomes and education spending trends. ये standard data हैं आपके. Had declined 42.5% in 2017 to 26% in 2016. Percentage of those who can read standard 2 text has been worse from 53 in 2006 to 48% in 2016. The decline has happened despite enhanced spending on the school education. आज की डेट में बच्चों को कहा जा रहा है कोविड किड्स, particularly 2019 to 2020 में जो बच्चे, sorry 20 और 21 में जो बच्चे पास किए हैं 12वीं का एग्जामिनेशन या 10th का एग्जामिनेशन, the COVID batch, they are often been named as COVID batch, and it is often believed that they don't know anything. Okay, so you see the educational outcome has decreased to a very significant extent even now. Spending on teacher training is one of the lowest priorities in the expenditure. This is very important part, and for that many states are now enacting provisions, as well as they are doing a basic course at Azim Premji institutions where the teachers training courses are given. Even the Assam, Bengal and Bihar government has sent nearly, they are sending nearly 5,000 to 6,000 teacher each year, so that at least a standard pedagogic procedure can be discussed or invented for that particular state. And there is this very interesting model in this case, Sangli, that model, How many of you are aware of that model? Sangli model. No one? See, in this case, along with the teacher, mother of the children were roped in. Mother of the children were roped in so that they can at least tell the educational part in the story way. And by doing this, there was significant improvement in overall educational outcome. The passing percentage increased by nearly 17% in the first year and 28% in the second year itself. Mother, generally housewives, were roped in to teach the students. So that this model serves as a purpose that along with the teacher, if it is guided by the parents, then it can be really good. Now, this part we have discussed it quite a times. The educational system is out in tune with the job market despite having a skill India program. So now we have seen that the government has started many things. For example, some example is that the PhD, you have seen that, that you will not be needing PhD anymore for professorship position. And the industrial expert can act as a professor because they do have the industrial experience. So they will design and frame the curriculum in such a way which will be related with the job market scenario, and the skill and the job mismatch can be curtailed or mitigated. So how to improve the educational status in India? Spending improve कीजिए पहले तो, better accountability and monitoring mechanism to exploit the gains of the increased physical outlays on education. So in this case, Andhra government has enacted some provision. आप लोगों को याद होगा, अभी बहुत दिनों पहले न्यूज़ में था, कुछ दिनों पहले क्या था? Something was enacted by the Andhra Pradesh government, na? No. In Tamil Nadu, has been introducing the breakfast, but it was the Andhra government who enacted the provision of the surveillance on the teacher. Surveillance. So now they have to log in into the app.
The school only they need to.
So it is a kind of geotagging, biometric presence will be there. So the Andhra government has started the trend of this, and in fact it was also there that standardized pedagogic procedure was followed, but now they acted that you have to give your attendance into an app so that the problem of absenteeism can be curtailed with. And it is said that Abhi recently, according to a survey which must be written here somewhere, that 23% of the teacher in the rural areas were absent. In 2016, see, this is the data of some report, I am not aware exactly which report, but I was reading, and in fact it was written according to one survey, but there was a survey by ASER only in 2016 where they say that the absenteeism was in the teacher was 16% only, and that too with the valid reason. If somebody was taking a leave, there was not unaccounted leave. Only 16% teachers were absent at the rural areas. Now this data points at 23%. But the issue is that, if you do have around 500 students in the class and there is only one teacher, further, see, teachers are the biggest group in case of Indian political structure. They are the largest opinion makers. So one of the most important issue is that they act as a pressure group on the state politics, and because of that they always want the transfer at their near places, the places near to the native places. Further, because of this, there is no improvement in the overall school. How? See, there is the problem of fragmentation of the school. Fragmentation of the school. How many of you are aware of this with the problem? पता है आप लोगों को? 1 to 5, 5 to 8, and 8 to 10. Schools are fragmented, particularly schools in India are fragmented in these three terms. So now what exactly happens, the teacher of these schools are different from these schools, and these schools are completely different. One, so you see that generally after 5th class, because school is at some other place, so there is dropout ratio. First of all, Second, because they are specialized in only 1 to 5 class, so they are not actively involved in the secondary school syllabus. That outcome, that intelligence is not there. And this was again conversed in the Andhra Pradesh. This was another issue, though there is a criticism bit of also. This, and because they are saying now they will start facing the competition from the senior secondary schools. The teacher will be uncomfortable. But at least if there will be one such school near, probably in every panchayat, then at least the problem of dropout ratio will not be there and specialization will also be there. And this is the initiative which was enacted by Rajasthan previously, and now Andhra Pradesh again started at in some with better implementation. Fragmentation of the school. See, problem is that at least suppose only 5 students from only 1 to 5 classes are there. No infrastructure is there. Gap, no, completely infrastructure and the social and as well as the physical infrastructural gap are also there. To do away with this, to dispense away with this, the government of India is thinking, and even the state government are also thinking, that we should start schools from 1 to 10 class, where the proper infrastructure will be there. And Andhra Pradesh and Rajasthan government, as I told you, has started this trend. Attracting, now, India leads the way, business as usual policy and pragmatic response are tenable in the current circumstances. The report recommends implementing policies that focuses on 3 I's, investing from the renewable energy to preparedness for pandemics to insurance, including social protection, to prepare our societies for the ups and downs of uncertain world, while innovation in its many forms, technological, economical and cultural, can also build capacities and respond to whatever challenges come next. Policies that focus on the 3 I's will enable the government to thrive in face of uncertainties. India is already a front runner in these areas with its push towards renewable energy. These are the parts in which India is doing good, but largely you see that these are the way forward: well-nourished and healthy population, access to high-speed internet, multidisciplinary disciplinarity learning, design thinking, data science, new dimensions to need inclusion. So this was about the SDI report, summary of the SDI report of 2022. Next topic is legal aid. Legal aid should be improved. A person was accused of murdering his wife and children, and he was given capital punishment by a high court in UP, Allahabad High Court. Now his sentences of capital punishment has been remitted to life sentence by the Supreme Court of India, and the Supreme Court said that he hasn't received good legal or counsel. So further, even Justice Lalit admitted that legal aid work is still neglected field in India, and the young law graduates should devote their time and energy to provide the legal aid services and instill a sense of compassion. Now, Legal Aid Act. What is the part? First of all, who is considered as the father of PIL in India? Who started the trend of father PIL? PIL. Justice Iyer and Justice Bhagwati. So they started and from here we will discuss that. Now, constitutional provision, legal, first there was Santilal committee who said that, you see that if there will be no equality, if the 80% of the people are suffering from the legal issues, then there will be no equalities. The poor are not attending the cost of justice. So you see basically what does this terms mean? Administration of justice. I will give you some data that 2% of the GDP is towards the administration of justice. Administration of justice. Improvement in the Supreme Court, High Court infrastructure. The provisions we will discuss, but what is legal aid all about? Legal aid, civil and criminal matter, it provides counsel to the poor and marginalized who cannot afford the service of a lawyer for the conduct of case or legal proceedings in any court, tribunal or before authority. What are the institutions responsible? NALSA, constituted under the Legal Service Authorities Act 1987 and enacted in, कब हुआ था? 1995 में हुआ था. India has a robust institutional framework for legal aid bodies. Legal aid authority at the 37 state legal authorities, 673 district service authorities, 235 talukas legal service and 39 high court legal services are there. Who heads it? Of the Supreme Court for the NALSA and state level pe Justice of the High Court, district judge for the ex officio chairman, taluk pe a senior civil judge, High Court Legal Service Committee, Supreme Court Legal Service Committee. Now, eligible persons, women, members of SC, ST, industrial workmen, victims of mass disaster, disabled persons in custody, those persons who have an annual income of less than prescribed by the respective state. In the case of any court other than Supreme Court, less than 5 lakh if the case is before the Supreme Court. Victims of trafficking, largely it is 50,000 in nearly all the state. If the income is less than 50,000 annually, then you are eligible for free legal aid. Now, concerns related to legal aid. What are the concerns? जस्टिस एपी का नाम, एपी साहब का नाम सुना है ना आप लोगों ने? कौन से केस से रिलेटेड थे? सबसे पहली बार जस्टिस एपी साहब ने ही डिक्रिमिनलाइजेशन किया था ना, 2008 में दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट के जज थे, LGBTQs, जस्टिस एपी साहब. So, despite formidable structure of the legal aid, the scheme has failed to attract the competent lawyer and there is no mechanism for the clients to question it. See, you see that you have a private case at hand, and on one side you are getting the legal aid by the government, and which is very, not that good. So, there are two methods by which you will go to complete the case. Once you will complete the case, you will get the legal aid. Suppose a lawyer is in this position, then his focus will be on completion of the case, irrespective of the discourse of the justice or how the justice progresses. नहीं है clear? नहीं? केस खत्म करना है, मुझे पैसे मिलने हैं, मैंने केस खत्म करना है. फर्क नहीं पड़ता ना कि भाई किसी को जस्टिस मिला कि नहीं मिला, मुझे केस खत्म करना है, मुझे पता है कि वो बंदा वैसे भी नहीं लड़ पाएगा, केस खत्म कर दो. जहाँ उसको कैपिटल पनिशमेंट मिलना था वहाँ पे उसको मे बी लाइफ सेंटेंस मिल जाएगा. जहाँ पे सिंपल रिग्रेस मिलना था वहाँ पे लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट मिल जाएगा. ओके, बट केस खत्म करना है हमें, फर्क नहीं पड़ता कि भाई क्या होने वाला है. ठीक है, सो दिस इज द पार्ट वेयर द लॉयर्स आर नॉट गिविंग देयर टाइम टू द क्लाइंट फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, एंड बिकॉज दे आर पुअर, so they do not have any authority or competency to question the lawyers. Just go to any of the district court and you will see that what is the condition. The conditions in the district courts are very bad. Justice Muralidharan of Delhi High Court is of the opinion that there is a need to pay the legal aid. Lawyers better, otherwise legal aid for poor will continue to be poor legal aid. This is where the part of administration of justice comes. The central government gives money to the Supreme Court. Okay, and Supreme Court it redistributes it to the various legal authority by that 2%. 2% for all administration of justice. Most of the population is entitled to legal aid, but they are not aware that they are eligible for legal aid. So awareness is also not there. Lack of knowledge, lack of experience, lack of exposure. Second is infrastructure. Legal aid set up in the remote district, the area must have the facility of e-library where the lawyers can have the assistance of law reports and the latest judgment of the click of mouse, but we lack in that aspect. बहुत बुरी हालत है, कोई वकील नहीं पढ़ता, बहुत कम वकील पढ़ते हैं. And the movie, that movie, Jolly LLB, is somehow, I believe that most of you have seen that movie, na, Jolly LLB, is somehow reflective of the status of the district court in India. Now, inadequate monitoring frameworks have not also contributed towards the less effectiveness of the free legal aid, such as many lawyers do not visit. अच्छा ये बताओ, under what provision legal aid can be analyzed? Article 39 and this is relevant from the perspective of prelims. The articles related with the legal aid. 39A first, second article 21. 21 तो कभी भी रहेगा ही रहेगा. Inadequate monetary frameworks also कहाँ? Contribute. Yes, but that is the executive mechanism, na? The main article that is associated is Article 39A from the Constitution and Article 21. Now, analysis of the legal aid services in India. See, they are saying that it is not bounty by the state, rather it is an obligation of the state. Because if you are not giving equality in the distribution of the law or the redistributive justice, then the whole aspect of the legal aid will be defeated. So, what is the way forward? That they are saying that first covering should be increased, but the issue is that, you know, how should we manage the lawyers in this case, because the lawyers are the main mechanism who distribute or who are the law officers who conducts the legal aid. The part, yes, there is, most importantly, we have to improve the awareness, okay, and better remuneration to the lawyer is also needed. Feedback approach, the issue in this feedback approach that you will not be able to understand, a client will not be able to understand that what lawyer is doing. So feedback by certain other councils, that asking the people the feedback of the, and there should be a proper progress report of the advocate. This all could be done by setting up a proper monitoring committee. So third party committee. What is the retirement age for the judges in the United States? Huh? No retirement age. You know it? There is no retirement age for the judges in the United States. So there is this very good movie, probably you can see that. द ट्रायल ऑफ शिकागो 7 देखा है कभी किसी ने? नाम सुने? द ट्रायल ऑफ शिकागो 7. It is a very good movie, and it is based on the Vietnam War, or particularly the revolution that was ongoing in the United States society during that time. Some students leader were arrested, not like Kanhaiya Kumar or but similarly the parallels can be drawn. So there was this judge of 78-year-old, and the position he took was completely against the notion of the rule of the law. So, but there is no retirement age, and there is no particular provision for impeachment of the judges related with, because it is largely political in nature. So, in such cases, what exactly happens in the United States, that that there is a survey, biannual survey every year, that how the judges are performing, and that is very important criteria. So, in that survey, after the case, nearly 78% lawyers voted that the judge is not performing well. Okay, so something of the nature should be implemented in India, because the nature of the mediation, legal aid and lok adalat is very precarious. You have the data that nearly 84% of the unreal trials haven't attended the first day in the court. Isn't that? The data is this, that 84% of the unreal trial, they are just waiting. Some persons are waiting from nearly 18 or 19 years to attend the day in the court, because they don't have the legal counsel. Now, conclusion, justice and poor, this is the without equal access to the law, the system not only robs the poor of their protection, but it places the bands of their oppression in the most powerful and ruthless weapon ever intended. So, in this context, generally, what is the poor view of the law? What is rent seeking? What is the poor's view of the law? That law doesn't give anything to them, but rather takes everything. This is the view of the poor's in the law, and this is the approach because of which rent seeking is increasing in India. Rent seeking, you understand, one form of corruption. If contract enforcement will not be there, if contract enforcement, and this is related with the business also, so you will end up at some place where you will say that, okay, I will give you some money, just do my work. That is rent seeking. So this is the reason because of which lack of contract enforcement is forcing the behavior of rent seeking in India, and this is because of this most of the litigations are transferring to the Singapore arbitrations. Though not related with the equality law, but this is an important aspect in that context. Okay. Next topic is a bit vague in its essence, but these are the three important parts which we have to understand, that India needs a holistic and effective technocracy strategy. Now, this topic in itself will be a class, because you have to understand various aspects related with cyber, WMD, nuclear. This will be the part of defense, and outer space. All these parts will be covered, but the main point that we have to say, that state behavior is increasingly being shaped by a desire to acquire, secure or manipulate emerging technologies or the supply chain that produces them. The emerging friction will continue to accelerate as techno-nationalism increasingly underpins industrial and trade policy choices. India, why was India friends with Russia after independence? Only because of the technology, isn't it? And why India shifted towards the United States in 1984? No. 1984. में क्या हुआ था? राजीव गांधी came to power. Computerization. हाँ. Computerization, not only computerization, but also that Russian premier at that USSR premier at that time gave some adverse statement, because and that statement was linked with the exchange of technology. So what we are discussing here, technology as a factor in shaping the foreign policy. Okay, so in these can be seen in three aspects. Science and diplomacy. It means that the scientific inputs going into diplomacy and foreign policy making. Global challenges such as weapons of mass destruction, climate change, cyber security, human health, energy, environment, outer space, etc. will require scientific inputs in order to understand and deal with them. These challenges are transborder and require the application of science and technologies in order to resolve them in addition to normal diplomatic efforts. कोई example दीजिए, इसके तो बहुत सारे example हैं. Terror financing, FATF, ISA, International Solar Alliance, सारे example तो इसी पे based है ना. अब जितने भी हो रहे हैं आपके वासेनारा एग्रीमेंट है, NPT है, सब तो इसी पे बेस्ड हैं आपके. Second, science for diplomacy. It offers alternative channel of engagement among countries that may have political differences, thus playing an important role by influencing the dynamics of power balance between sovereign nation. Scientific value for rationality, transparency, universality. जो आउटर स्पेस एग्रीमेंट हुआ है आपका कब 1969 में, इसी से तो बेस्ड है ना. पहली बार चेंज हुआ 97 के बाद से इंटरनेशनल स्पेस स्टेशन बनाया हमने, है ना. सो दीज आर द पार्ट्स. डिप्लोमेसी फॉर साइंस, it means making use of diplomacy to gain benefit in science and technology bilaterally as well as multilaterally. Okay, it seeks to acquire science and technology knowledge to strengthen the national economy and capacity to participate more effectively in international discussions where science and technology are involved. तो अब इंडिया कौन कौन से एस्पेक्ट पे काम कर रहे हैं? Nearly all the three aspects. And how it is shaping the diplomacy, and how the competition is there. एवरेस्ट का हाइट सबसे पहले किसने लिया? एवरेस्ट, माउंट एवरेस्ट ब्रिटिश इंडियंस ने ही लिया था ना सबसे पहले, नहीं लिया था? माउंट एवरेस्ट वॉज मेजर्ड बाय द इंडियंस फर्स्ट. मैलोरी का नाम नहीं सुना है आप लोगों ने? जॉर्ज मैलोरी. नहीं? Who climbed the mountain Everest for the first time? नहीं पता? ये तो पता होना चाहिए. पहली बार कौन चढ़ा था एवरेस्ट पे? एडमंड हिलेरी. एंड this is very interesting, you know, basically because there is this debate that and it just refers to the colonial mindset where Tenzing Norgay was awarded a King's Cross medal for his climb of Mount Everest, whereas Edmund Hillary was awarded with a Sir Knight medal by the British government, even after the confession by the Edmund Hillary that it was the Tenzing Norgay who saved his life so frequently and quite a many times. See, basically what exactly happens during when you start scaling or climbing the mountain, there are two persons always. One who will just do the rope work for you. So Tenzing Norway was that person. He was the main person who led the way. But before that, such expedition was started in 1924 itself by George Mallory. George Mallory was the first British, and it is a very bit controversial that he claimed it or not, because his body was found just 750 feet below the summit peak, and people are confused that he was climbing up or going down, because his head was pointed in the other direction. So it remains a point of controversy that who was the first person to claim it. But largely it is that, yes, admittedly claim that. But I'm using this in context because in India's and Nepal relations were very good, not as compared to China. It was very good till 1996 or 2005, as we can call it. It was not that bad. But after 2005, and when Nepal started going towards the China, and in the aftermath of 2014 earthquake, it was the Chinese authority who measured the height of mountain, and they measured it to, there was an increment of 1.5 meters, 0.8 centimeters in the overall height of the Everest. So you see that if you do have the technology, then the relationship will be built, and here comes the use of the science in diplomacy and diplomacy for science. In case of India, Vietnam, याद आया क्या? Brahmos? So, and even some days before, or during the IOR Plus conference, Rajnath Singh said that we will be providing defense to friendly nation in IOR Plus region. Clear? So this is the part where the science and the diplomacy is reserved. Now, how it started the trend? Historic science diplomacy approach of India. India's global priorities in science and technology were clearly articulated by Nehru during his address to the country since January 21, 1959. Nehru was aware that both constructive and destructive power of science and had made the India's intentions of seeking international scientific advance for the country's development and rise clearly with the added emphasis on averseness of the interstate rivalry. The template would set the tone for India's international science and technology engagement for much of the 20th century and met with the mixed result as more powerful states such as United States sought to curb the ambitions. So, you see that since 1947, India went with the USSR to acquire the technology, and not only USSR, in fact some other countries also helped to set up the nuclear centers, but largely after 1970s it was USSR which helped us bringing in the different technology. In fact, as it is said that MTCR was also given to the technology for intercontinental ballistic missiles was given by the Russia to us during 1990s. Therefore, there was embargo. There was this after the nuclear blast in of 1970s. World countries said that no, you cannot give the technology, intercontinental ballistic missile technology, to any other countries. So even in that case, Russia has given us the technology of ICBM. Okay, so you see that all for our technological needs, it was the Russia. But after 1984, when the US mastered internet and such other technology, computer technology, we shifted our focus towards the US itself. And largely our alignment with the US and Western countries is dependent upon it. Two, that we are completely sure that China will not be helping us in the case of any technology. And this is where the problem is, that as a neighbor we were supposed to work, but the thing is that China in itself don't have that much technology. So all the technologies lies with United States, and it is only with the cloud computing that China is getting a stronghold. Most of its technology is based on reverse engineering. Second, what is the most important technology as of now? Artificial intelligence. And you will need what for artificial intelligence? VLSI. That is the thing, no? VLSI, very large integrated circuits or chips, as you can say. And there is an embargo posited on China by the United States. Are you following that news? Recently, Biden government has banned any company of United States origin to do trade in China related with chips. I believe that most of you are aware with this news, na? And there were several provisions were imposed on the China, also by the company, United States government, particularly related with the China. Now, positives and negatives of such act. And this is where the diplomacy for science and science for diplomacy comes in. नहीं समझे? This is, see, basically, if you will ban any country from developing or shaping something, say right now, Oppo, just name of any of the mobile brands, probably Oppo, Vivo, OnePlus, okay, all such companies are dependent upon the chips by the NVIDIA, AMD, Intel. Now they will not get the chips. So what will happen with the companies of the China? China is a great economic market. The population purchasing power is also there. So ultimately, the economy of scale in the beginning, it will hurt them. It will hurt Chinese industries in a significant way, because first setting up the cost of the fab unit is very high. Fab unit, I believe you know it, fabrication unit, which is required, which is India is trying to set, which is the point of contention between Gujarat and Maharashtra. याद आया? Foxconn की गए है ना, Vedanta Foxconn fab unit गुजरात को चला गया है. So you see here India is leveraging its strategic non-alignment for using science for diplomacy and diplomacy for science. That all such unit, Taiwan is a country where some uncertainty is there, and this is one of the most important region, because Taiwan is a country which produces the largest number of chips apart from South Korea. South Korea is next. Taiwan is a country which US want to protect because of this, because they are the largest producer of chips. And now such chip is coming to India. One, climate related technologies, transformation, solar related technologies. Anywhere will you see that there is a technological exchange, and particularly Astra or the space ownership. And this class, because the separate issues are there, so this class will be taken at a separate day. But the issue was of that how you will read this. So these 3 points are very important. You just have to remember it, that these 3 parts. Science for technology, yes. Science and diplomacy, science for diplomacy, and diplomacy for science. And any example you will find in the newspaper, just try to write under this criteria. Because how science and technology is shaping the foreign policy can be a question. Because there is an inequality of technology, and that inequality is the biggest inequality. है ना? So this is the main part. Further, we are talking about the global governance in terms of data. Okay, coordinated drives are there. So in this case, there is an initiative by MEA, NEST. About NEST, this division will act as the nodal point in India's foreign policy for all matters connected to the new and emerging technologies, including exchange of views with foreign government. So you can read about it. The last article is PM3. They want to build a model school, 14,500 model schools, and PM Shri is abbreviation for PM Schools for Rising India. So PM Shri will provide a leadership to all other classes in the respective region and category. It will develop as a green school incorporating environment friendly aspects, solar panel, LED lights, nutrition garden, natural farming, waste management, plastic free water conservation. Important part, yes, for the first time they are talking about the pedagogy adapted in this school will be more experimental, holistic, integrated, play, toy particularly, foundational years, inquiry driven, discovery oriented, leadership and learner centric, discussion based, flexible and enjoyable. These are the बड़े अच्छे points, ठीक है, and it remains to be seen that how much will be implemented. Skill development, again the same part that we are talking, that there is a mismanagement or mismatch between skills and what is required. Quality assessment, QA, SQF will be being developed, specifying the key performance indicator to measure outcome. Quality evaluation of the schools at regular interval will be undertaken to ensure the desired standard. Major interventions in the PM3 schools, quality and innovation through learners enhancement program, holistic progress card, innovative pedagogies and bagless days, internship with the local artisan, capacity building, beneficiary oriented entitlements under RTA schemes. PM3 school will receive science and maths kits oriented on annual schools, annual school grant, early childhood care, including Bal Vatika and foundational literacy, equity and inclusion, including the provision for safe and see largely these are the data formats. I believe that what are the methodologies? This is relevant with the that you have to remember. Selection of PM3 school will be done through challenge mode when schools will compete for support to become exemplary schools. Schools will be required to self-apply on the online portal. Maximum of 2 schools, 1 elementary, 1 secondary would be selected per block. Geo-tagging of schools for the selection and monitoring of the PM schools. The services of the Bhaskaracharya National Institute of Space Application and Geoinformatics will be taken for geo-tagging and other related ask. Implementation strategy for PM3. PM3 would be implemented through existing administrative structure available for Samagra Shikshan, KVS and NVS. The other autonomous bodies would be involved on a specific project basis as required. Largely these are the data which you have to remember. Still the teacher student problem, 11.6 lakh teacher positions are vacant in the schools. Further there is no specialization, they are not adapted to technology, burdened with a lot of non-academic work. क्या क्या हो सकते हैं? Census, कुछ भी सरकारी योजना का implementation. National Institute of Education Planning and Administration, teachers devote only 19% of their time for teaching, rest of the time is spent on the non-teaching administrative work. Allotment of the funds, central government to the state government, पहले दिया जाएगा. National Education Policy since 1968 has said that India needs to spend 6% of its GDP on education, जो हो नहीं रहा है. So that the 52 years since recommended, India spent only 3.1% of the GDP on education. The requirement of the schools like library, labs and other infrastructure facility cannot be managed appropriately. Lack of infrastructure, poor hygiene, one of the most important reason for failure of the no detention policy is what? No detention policy. That will not be able to hold, particularly fail any children till class 5 or class 8. It is not that the infrastructure was not there. The no detention policy failed because of this reason only. And you see that if infrastructure is not there, how you think that academic outcome will improve? Now, old curriculum, old education system in India was mainly based on bookish learning. Nowadays, the use of internet and experimental learning methods are lot have changed. Mainly focuses on cramming up theories. So how can PM3 school be useful? Because it will provide the leadership and rest of the school will try to cooperate, become a medium to bring and research new education policy. This school will also need to find solution to learners loss caused due to the pandemic and ensure fruitful outcome. Every region PM3 school will mentor other schools in this area. It will also have a range of learning experience, good infrastructure among others. This school will include a variety of pedagogy and assessment systems along with vocational education, which will help in building the capabilities of the young mind. the school will energy efficient of young minds and make them future ready. Career guidance and mentoring will be provided to alumni. So these were the part of the PMC schemes. Basically, largely it is a prelims based question. Just remember the data and nothing else. Any questions? Another topic, acha, yes, family structure, yes. See, I forgot exactly. Now, India must recognize new family. This is the judgment of the Supreme Court delivered on 16th of August and widened the legal definition of family, ruling that family benefits be extended to same-sex couples and other families of the court considers atypical. Atypical means not in the standard definition of the family. What is the standard definition of the family? Institution where classical definition was in institutions where it was considered that the people of opposite gender cohabit and it results in reproduction. This is the standard definition of the family. Now the issue is not that the definition of the family, largely the issue is about that how states is recognizing the family. Because you see that even in the LGBTQ families, there are so many things, so many issues. First, most importantly, the definitional problem. It was seen during the survey in the West Bengal after the recognitions of the cisgenders that they were hard to identify that how to refer to them, him, her, they. Okay, so definitional problems because it is the state level bureaucracies are functioning at the lowest level and they do have a prejudicial and stereotypical sense of notion. Because of that notion, it is very hard to identify the family first, that how it can be a reality. Because sometimes it is very difficult for SLBs to identify the person in LGBTQ family because they do have their so separate notion. नहीं होता है भाई in a same sex couple it is very hard to identify or for a bureaucracy that who will be he or she, they, them, because one act as a male, one act as a female, generally role taking, role behavior, one is a bit dominant. Okay, so role taking is different for the LGBTQ families. So it was found in the Bengal that how we refer them. That was the first issue that came at. Now, the highlights of the judgment ruled that the atypical families were as deserving of both legal protection and benefits of the state social welfare. See, these are the regions, same-sex marriage, adoption is not clear. We do have an adoption guideline in case of India. In India, adoption is governed by both secular as well as personal law. For Hindu, there is Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act 1956. For other religion, there is Juvenile Justice Care Protection of Children Act 2015. Okay. The later act is secular and allows adoption regardless of the religion. Adoption laws discriminate against LGBTQ plus couple according to regulation 5.3 of adoption regulation. Husband and wife are used and do not recognize the right to adopt in the case of same-sex couple. In the case of male only, you are not able to adopt a female children. This is the reality. If it is only male couple or only male family, then the law prohibits anyone from adopting a girl child. This is the first discrimination. Husband and wife, the notion of husband and wife is there, but the problem with the construction with the word, there is a different set of adoption rules applied in the case of man and woman, and thus the applicability of such law with regard to trans couples will lead to ambiguity. This was the point which I made just now. Now, inheritance. Okay, surrogacy first. The new surrogacy bill passed in the parliament prohibits single people and LGBTQ to have their own children through surrogacy. A new bill reiterates the notion of archaic family system which is not sync in with the. समझ गए? देखिए ये सारे words जो है ना आपको सिर्फ एक ही चीज के अंदर मिलेंगे and this word is. So whenever you are asked that how law is discriminating against them, So this is institutional racism. है ना? All these things, not giving the passport to a single mother, or where the passport requires the name of the father. So all these things pertains under the institutional racism. Further, the essential of the bills are so stringent that even a heterosexual couple cannot fulfill the requisite condition. The essentials of the bill are so you see that this was the another problem, that in case of LGBTQ, or in fact I believe that there was this controversy in some Tamil movie this year, and I'm just not related with the Tamil actress. She went for the surrogacy and it is in the news. I'm just forgetting her name. I believe that it is the news of this week only. I'm just forgetting the name of that Tamil actress. Now, inheritance law, Hindus are governed. Yes, Shah Rukh Khan was also there. Abram. He is the son of Shah Rukh Khan, who is through surrogacy. So the government of India questioned this thing that, why are you going for the third son, and that too through surrogacy, because you are perfectly capable of having one. So that is created, and the same problem is being faced in the LGBTQ families. So Hindus are governed by the Hindu Succession Act of 1956, while Muslims and Parsis have their own customary laws, and there is an Indian Succession Act of 1955 which applies to all Indian who are married under the Special Marriage Act 1954. Now here the gender is irrelevant after 2005, we know that, and after 2005 is an important criteria. Nahi. Initially inheritance was not for the women's, particularly in Hindu. So there was an amendment. Gender is irrelevant when it comes to inheritance. Inheritance happens based on nearness, but the inheritance laws are restricted only to heterosexual marriages. So to apply the principle of inheritance in the LGBTQ community is essential to recognize the concept of same-sex marriage. Here again, the LGBTQ families are facing the problems of the law, because inheritance is also not possible. There have been constant demand for the legal recognition of Hijra families, especially after the Nalsa judgment. However, the law continues to undermine the legal existence of such families, firstly in subsequent versions of the private member bills, and after passing of transgender person protection of the right. The language of the law should be made completely gender neutral, so that even transgender people or the persons who undergo sex change shall not discriminate in inheritance. Now, maternity benefits, again the same thing. Maternity Benefit Act of 1961 provides maternity leaves and benefits for only to cisgender families who give birth, adopt, or rely on surrogacy to have children. To implication of the law, it reiterates the archaic notion that it is the whole responsibility of the mother to take care of the nature of the child, and father can be waived of this duty. Secondly, it does not take the cognizance that there can be possibility of alternative family such as LGBT. Now, therefore, it is essential that the language of this law must be gender neutral, so that even LGBTQ families can also have access to parental benefits, and further, it serves as a progressive state in the direction to eliminate gender biases reinforced by the maternity benefit legislation. Okay, so this was, and these are, the solution is there in the way forward, that the language has to be gender neutral, cannot be complemented without law recognizing the concept of the family of the choice. Family laws remain exclusionary because they do not account for the gender beyond the binaries and many diverse forms of relationship that exist in a society. LGBT community needs an anti-discriminatory law that empowers them to build the productive lives and relationship irrespective of the gender identity. Third, government bodies, especially those related to the health and law and order, need to be sensitized, and this is the point, that you cannot expect the SLBs to be. And so, if they are not sensitized, street level bureaucracy are not completely well versed with the overall condition of the LGBTQ families. So first we have to sensitize them, because the definition depends upon them. Awareness is there in the LGBTQ community, but your lower level bureaucracy, it is not functioning in that efficient way. This is the main reason. So sensitization of lower level bureaucracy is imperative for a family of choice, or so that, and yes, we have to use the gender neutral laws, we have to use the gender neutral words again. Okay, so this was about the society section of the editorial, actually. Bit drag. Okay, but such is the nature. Okay, okay, fine. Thank you. Yes, any questions? Someone related to anything?